some great insight and opinions, I thought, on Ohio State. And reading the comments, you could tell how much respect has returned for the Ohio State program based on the fact that they took Georgia to the 59th minute and the 57th second, of that game until it was decided. So I think that as one guy said, they almost beat the Colossus of the sport right now. So you got to give them their props, and that Ryan Day has earned his place among the elites. And what a far cry that was from what people were saying about Ohio State after they got drummed by Michigan. So, this is a case where a close loss, it's certainly not as good as a win, but, very, very close to the props you'd get had you won the game. So I think people are putting the respect back on Ohio State's name. So I think that was important to see. And yet, going in to 2023, it looks like there are 5 teams that are cut above the rest, and that's Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, and believe it or not, Pennsylvania State is getting some huge top 5 run, and 3 of the top 5 teams could be in the Big Ten East. Just imagine the 3 heavyweight collisions they're going to have when, Ohio State plays Penn State and Michigan and Penn State play each other. Those are going to be 3 of the heavyweight games of the entire season, it seems like, this coming year. And so those are going to help decide and shape the playoff format. If it was a year from now, you'd be talking about how all 3 of them are shoe-ins for a 12-team playoff. But as it stands, we saw this year Ohio State and Michigan both made it. I think that's the goal for 2023 for both those programs, is to get into the Final Four, and for Penn State to finally, they haven't made a playoff yet, for them to take that next step. I mean, they did win the bowl game that they were in, obviously, with James Franklin, and he's won another New Year's Six game, at least 2 New Year's Six wins for him. And is he ready to carve his name up there among the elites in college football? He'll have to do it with Drew Aller now as his quarterback instead of Clifford, but he's got a good nucleus around him, and we'll see what comes of that. But to me, those were some of the interesting things that came out of putting together that story, and that obviously everyone thinks that Georgia is now the team to beat. So there you go.
I'll throw this out to both of you because I was looking at my DraftKings for fun app. Now that sports betting is fun and legal in Ohio, looking at the futures for next year's national champion. I was looking like I could put $50 on Ohio State and Georgia and Alabama and feel pretty good about it, because Georgia as the favorite, if they win, that $50 pays $180. So it pays for all 3 of my bets. So then I've got 3 other like $10 bets that I could throw down. So I'm thinking like LSU, USC, and maybe Texas A&M, because the payout would be huge. But like, where else are you going to go?
Yeah.
I think those 3 cover it. Those top 3, like, are you going to take the 3 or are you going to take the field? And then of the field, who are you taking? So I think, I could throw down $180 and feel pretty good. I'm going to break even at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe hit a big one. I don't want to promote sports gambling, because as a reformed gambler, I've tried to stay away from it, but I did take advantage of some of the free money to try and beat these sports books out of their $200 promo budget on me, and I found myself sweating out the over/under on the the Tampa Dallas game on Monday night. It was 45 was the over/under, and it looked, or at least that's what I had, and it looked like forever it was going to go under, because Tampa couldn't even get a first down. And then Tampa scores 2 touchdowns, late in the game. It's 31-14, so you get a push on that. But all of that anxiety came back from all those years ago of, that clock is not moving fast enough what is going on here? And then you had the break with the player who went down with the injury, a 10-minute break, and I hope everything's okay with him. And the receiver from Tampa who got crunched, and all of that anxiety, your heart's racing a little bit. And I've got, $10 of promo bet money riding on this, trying to hit a $50 parlay or something. And, it just, all of that anxiety came back. You're really better off without it, to be honest. That's kind of what I've come around to it. And my mind is reconciling that I remember these feelings, and I didn't like myself then, and I don't like myself now for being part of this. So that's my don't do it sermon of the day.
I just have the personality that I'm either all in on something or I'm not. And there were 2 consecutive Major League Baseball season about 6 or 7 years ago where I was tracking. I thought I had a system. I was tracking every game, and I couldn't go to bed if it was 2:00 in the morning and I knew the Padres and the Giants were 1-1 in the 8th inning on the West
Still
Coast.
pending, yeah.
I just, because that might be the difference between 8-7 and 9-6 today. So I there's no way I can let that one ride. I got to sit here and look at my phone and for the final.
The only system I ever heard about on baseball, I'm sure there's a lot of them, was a buddy of mine who didn't bet a lot on baseball, said that if a team wins 3 games in a row, they are liable to run that out to 4, 5, 6, 7 games. When baseball teams get on a roll, they tend to keep that going at least another few games. Now, they're not going to win 10 or 12 in a row because that's almost unheard of. But if a team gets to 3 in a row, watch them, because they can catch fire and win real off 6 or 7 in a row pretty easily. But that's about the only advice, and I don't know if that's true or not. My team, the Reds, certainly doesn't subscribe to that theory. They never win 3 in a row, so how would I know?
Yeah, they don't get that started.
Yeah. What's funny? You take a team like the Reds who won 60 games last year or whatever it was, and if you play a team every day all season long, you're going to lose your shirt, just because it just isn't going to work out. You have to pick and choose your spots. So, even with them being, a plus 200 underdog someday, you're not going to win enough of those games to come out ahead on a team like that. So that's my advice on baseball is don't get hooked into betting every game every day, because you're going to lose. But I don't know. I will say there was an Indiana basketball game at Penn State the other day, and Penn State had to give them like 3 points. And here, Penn State has been as mentally tough as any team in the country this year, and having one of the nice surprise seasons in the country. And Indiana is about as mentally and physically fragile. They're down 2 starters also, and they're like catching 3 points at Penn State. I'm like, no way. Penn State's going to win that game easily. They won by 19 points. So, yeah, when I see, as Stevie Winwood said, when you see a chance, take it.
That's it.
When you see one that just doesn't make sense, hammer it.